Hello, everyone out there in Facebook land.
What's
You
up?
know, hey, thanks for jumping on today. And before we have some fun on this live stream, just want to let everyone know I'm the type of guy who loves to chat. And, I got some old friends, I got some new friends that I occasionally like to call, text, to catch up or even maybe get some advice. And one of them is Donald Tardy. So everyone say hello to Donald Tardy from Obituary.
What's up,
Yeah.
everybody?
Hey, Donald, thanks for chatting today, man. It's been a while since I've seen you.
Yeah, and I have to say it was good when I saw the last stream that you did, just to see your face and see that you're happy, you're home and you're safe and you're healthy. That made me very happy. That's why I text you, and then you invited me to do it with you this time. So I'm here
Right
and I'm
on.
happy to do this.
Right on. First and foremost, how are you and the boys doing? I mean, in Tampa, with the shelter in place, how's everything? Everyone safe and healthy?
Yeah, we're good. We're kind of trying to do our part. We got home from the canceled Black Label Society tour, and everyone went and self-quarantined. So we've honestly, for the last 3 weeks, we've stayed away from each other. Everybody's got children but myself, so I didn't want to take a chance. So we all stayed for a few weeks away from each other. And so everyone's happy, everyone's healthy, there's no issues, all the kids are safe. And so now we're just here in Florida, just waiting this thing out like the rest of us.
Gotcha. I mean, that's good to hear. I mean, speaking of tour, we were just in Europe. We did 5 weeks in Europe with Testament and Exodus. Fortunately and unfortunately, we had to cancel 2 shows.
Yes.
I mean, that's pretty minor compared to what a lot of bands getting a whole tour canceled. But you guys were on tour in the States.
Yeah.
Halfway through, you had
we were.
Yeah. So I mean, where did you find out, and who told you, like, you guys got to go?
It couldn't have been a worse scenario, because we just did. We started in America, went all the way across to the West Coast, went up into Canada, made it through the Canada shows. Right when we came back into the United States, our Milwaukee show, that's when we had our drop shipment of all the merchandise for the second half of the tour. 13 more shows to go, and we were still so far up north. I can't even think of the town, but I mean, literally a stone's throw from Canada. And it was such short notice that Black Label they already unloaded the semi, and they were already setting up and doing sound check, and we still got shut down that night. So the reality was, wow, 13 shows to go, and now we're headed home. And on our way home, we actually stopped and played our Pontiac, Michigan, because we had a headline show, a really small club in Pontiac, under 250 people, and at the time that we're still allowed. So it's pretty cool. We actually did one stop because the bus driver had to sleep anyway. So we did one last show in Pontiac, and then we came home. Came home with a trailer full of tour merchandise, and now we're just sitting here wondering what and when are we allowed to fire this thing back up?
Yeah, that must have hurt, man. That must.
It did. It could have been worse. There's bands that literally, like Abath. They literally just landed from flying over from Europe. They were still on their connecting flight in America, sitting like in New York, and found out that the tour was canceled. So you talk about the expense of those poor guys buying all those flights, all the American visas, all their merchandise that they just had printed, and they got shipped right back home.
Wow.
I felt for them dudes, because he's a good friend of ours now. We just toured with Abath, and he's a really nice guy, and it was a fun tour. So.
Yeah, man. I mean, it must hurt. Like you said, you had to drop shipment of merch, and you're like, what are we gonna do with this now? It's like, but it could, like you said, it could have been worse. But what could you do when the government says we're shutting it down? You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So, but I'm glad everyone, is safe and healthy. I mean, as you heard from our end, it was just like we all got sick. Will got the worst, but he's doing well right now. He's home recovering.
Yeah.
So. And like you said, we could just only do our part and just stay indoors and just go out for essentials and whatnot.
Yeah, it's out of our hands right now. It seems like extreme measures that were being made to do, but I mean, look at the numbers and look at what's going on. So you just got to do your part. You got to just stay away. You got to do social distancing, and you got to be smart. You just stay away from everybody right now, and make sure you monitor how you feel and how your friends feel and your family, and just do the smart thing, because we got you. It's got to get better. You know, like right now, some of these states and cities and counties, and they're just going back to normal life. But we're looking at the worst numbers right now of cases and deaths.
Yeah.
It's not time to pull the trigger and start again. We really need to hunker down and do what we're doing right now, you know, as a human on this planet, you know.
Gotcha. Well, you know, now that we covered a little bit of that, let's get to some fun stuff. You know what I mean? Let's get to some positivity here.
Yeah.
You know, what people may not know from either the viewers and some of our, you know, peers, a few people know that me and you have long history together. You know, I was thinking about it the other day. I've known you for 27 years, dude.
Yeah, that's unbelievable.
It's a long
really
time.
Is.
Yeah, I mean, I'll tell the story. I'll try to make it brief. First time I met you, it was on the ending touring cycle of the Incomplete. And
right
it was a tour of the US. It was Fear Factory and Obituary. And I happened to be Dino Cazares' guitar tech on that tour. And that's how I met you guys. Yep. We did 8 weeks in the US and Canada. And about a year and a half later, you guys took me to Europe for the first time on the World Demise tour. You know what
awesome.
I mean? Yeah. Do you remember a lot about that tour?
My memory is shot, but I do remember that tour because I believe was Big Shirt with us.
Yes.
So yeah, so that's pretty memorable stuff because you know, Big Shirt passed away a couple years back, and he was a dear friend of your guys, and with us. You know, we were lucky enough for the World Demise album in 1994. We did it right here in Tampa at Morrisound Studios, where we did most of our records. And that was the first time we actually invited Big Shirt to come and mix the record with us. So that was exciting. And then to get on the tour and have him on the road with us was super cool. And that just brings back the memories of probably the first time you met Big Shirt and we all just became big family. And that was a long tour. That was a pretty killer tour, you know. Mid 90s metal was just out of control, and those shows I remember were pretty sick.
I do remember, and you know what? I was scrummaging through my old hard drive, and you know, I want to share a photo with you, if you don't mind, from that tour. You know, here we go. I'm sure you can see my desktop, and this is when I was working on Trevor's guitar.
Yes, look at young Buck.
Yeah, I had my hair up. I didn't have short hair. I was working on, and Trevor has like he still plays a Fender.
He does. He's always played a Fender Strat.
Yeah, that's me working on the guitar. I don't know, and all these fans will probably trip out. Let me see if I could find another one. I had my hair dyed red.
Yes, I was a part of that.
Yeah, you were. It's like we had to bleach it, and I think you were there. Then I dyed it, and that person next to me, Stu, he was the tour manager for Pitch Shifter. You remember that?
Yeah, I do remember that.
Great band.
Yeah.
But that was.
What happened to your hair after that? How long did it take to go back to your beautiful natural black hair?
Oh, dude. I mean, first of all, why did I dye it? I wanted something different. It was like, you know, you're young. You just wanted. I was young. I had no responsibilities. I'm on tour for the first time in Europe.
Yep.
And I just wanted to do something drastic. You know what I mean?
Yep. I remember you saying that too.
Yeah. And I remember coming home and my mom freaked out, and you know, I was like, what the hell? But you know, it took about a year. I let it grow out, you know, the roots came off. Then I just said, you know what?
Yep.
I dyed it black. You know, I went back to my natural color. You know what I mean?
Right. Except for your natural color now, and getting in your old age is turning gray, like myself.
As you can see, it's turning gray. But you know. Yeah. But we feel young. We feel young. Yeah. So that's a good thing.
Absolutely.
So yeah, we go back that long, and it's good to see that we're still here. You know.
Yeah.
But so what's Obituary up to nowadays? I mean, are you guys planning on rebooking the shows? Are you writing in the meantime? What's the deal?
Yeah, you know, like the story, like most bands, this was about to be Obituary's most busy year. We had so many cool tours and shows lined up, beginning with that Black Label Society. When we got that offer, you know, I'm not that familiar with Black Label. You know, Zach rules. I know he's Ozzy's guitar player, and he's such a shredder. I wasn't very familiar with their music. So when I got on the tour with them, I realized how cool it was. And not to mention what a nice individual person that guy is. So
Yeah.
that still was only a halfway through that tour. And then after that, there was just, like you guys probably, we had the entire summer European festival scheduled, ready to go. We had 13 festivals and 11 club shows that were going to be through June, July, and August. And we sat here and held our breath, and show after show, festival after festival. Hellfest just canceled. Grass Pop just canceled. And we're just like, so, it's out of our control. So what are we going to do?
Yeah.
What are we going to do? We're sitting home now. We're about to get back together in the studio, and we're going to really grind. It's been a few years since the last album Obituary put out. And we're really looking forward to getting some of these riffs that we've been working on to really just start grinding and prepare a massive album, because from the looks of it, like you guys, Obituary's home for many months. It's looking like September is the next thing that it's August and September, but even then my agents are saying, don't hold your breath. More than likely it's going to get pushed to 2021, which is so scary for the band members, the income and just what we're going to do for a half a year. But we're going to use that time to drain that energy and really write the songs that are waiting to come out of us, because it's been a few years and I got a lot of ideas, and I can't wait to get back to the studio and just start practicing my drums, man. I miss my drums.
I totally hear you. I mean, for you guys, it's perfect timing. You're at the end of your cycle, right? And we're in the middle of our cycle. I mean, it's not as bad, when you're in the middle, but there's a lot of bands who just released albums and they can't tour. So it's just one of those things, like, you got to sit out and wait. But that's good, man, that you guys are getting to writing. We're doing the same thing. We're slowly easing into it. We have time, but you got to make use of the time and jam.
Yeah, absolutely. And by the way, the new album is unbelievable, Ted. You guys,
thanks, man,
really knocked it out of the park. I mean, the songwriting, Mark's voice is killer. Rob's solos absolutely blow my shit away. I mean, that guy is incredible. And you guys did a really good job on this album. Thanks,
man. I mean, as you know, with making records, you put your heart, blood, sweat and tears into it. You know what I mean?
Yeah, man.
From writing to recording to making it sound good, it's what we do. You know what I mean?
Yeah, and on that subject, I got a question, because I know my personal life when I record albums is, do you have that? Do you have that, or do the band members? I know drummers have it. When no matter how many times you practice it, when you're in the jam room and you think you're prepared and you're playing that riff perfect or the drum beat, but by the time you get in the studio and you hit the record button, there's always like, when you're done, you're like, man, I did that thing better at practice the last 3 weeks. But it's like, everyone's like, it's good, man, it's good, move on. And then like that next day when you're listening back to your take, I'm like, damn it, man. And then I live with regret on most of my albums. I literally live with regret on certain parts that I'm just like, if I would have just,
I get it. It's that Cindy Brady red light thing. You know what I mean? Mm-hmm. I mean, with the rehearsal room, you're relaxed. You get it done. But as soon as that mics are hooked up to the drums or whatever and hit record, for some reason you do freeze up. I think it's natural for everyone. You know what I mean?
Yeah, absolutely. I think so. And I was just curious with what you and the band, what they think and feel about that. So
yeah, everyone has that. In the rehearsal room, you're relaxed. Come hit and record. Boom. Yeah. Cindy Brady syndrome, bro.
Yeah, I always say I'm John Bonham when I'm at practice by myself in the studio.
Yeah.
But the minute we record, I'm right back to Donald Tardy.
Yeah, exactly, dude. I know the feeling. So I noticed on your spare time, like on the Obituary sites and all that, and Instagram, you do a lot of live streams and drum playthroughs. Trying to keep delivering music experience to the fans. Are you going to be doing more of that, or is Obituary going to be doing something in that realm?
When you're bored with me anyway, because I'm super creative and I love the camera and I love filming and I love obviously drumming. So I was putting some stuff together to keep Obituary fans, keep them happy and keep them interested in what we're doing. But there's no question now, as a band, we're talking about, again, if we're home now for 4 or 5, 6 months, we're definitely wondering and thinking, what can we do besides just a drum playthrough video, besides only a chat? What can we do, and what's the technology out there that's going to allow us to let fans kind of what they're doing here. They're going to be allowed to ask you questions and me questions, and that's really cool and interactive. And then how do we bring the studio into it and the live performances? Meaning you see what I'm getting at. I'm guessing that if we can do a cool band chat and the fans can chime in, and if they want to ask, a question about a certain song, and we feel obligated, maybe we can even perform that song for them and stop and break some of the parts down. So it's a lot of stuff I've been thinking of. Instead of just pushing music videos on people and just pushing a live stream and not interacting, we're looking into this technology with a magic box that my brother, it's called Black Magic Box or something, that we're going to be able to do a few different camera feeds, kind of like what Zoom's doing and what you're doing, where you can do the monitor screen and the split screen. We're really looking into what we can do to make it fun for the fans, but also maybe make it purpose. Maybe there's a purpose behind it, because songs are going to be being writ, new stuff's going to be being had, but there's also all those classic albums and classic songs that people want to hear. So Obituary is definitely talking about some studio inside studio performances for the fans that want to be a part of it.
That's kind of cool, because with technology nowadays, it's really cool to keep things, try to connect with the fans. It's a great thing.
Yeah.
But nothing beats a live performance, bro.
Right.
You know what I mean?
Right.
Like what we're doing right now, like everything's live, nothing's edited.
Right.
we could mess up.
Right.
So it's a live stream. Like with live performances, it feels like, you're giving the fans something unique, because every live show is different. You know what I mean?
Yeah. Yeah,
now, man. Speaking of live shows, what's your most memorable live show? Like throughout the years? Like, I mean, there must have been some funny or memorable stuff where you go, whoa, that sticks in your head.
Well, I mean, the first one that I remember, I was so nervous, was obviously the first one we were a part of. I think it was 1991. It was the first time, it was Dynamo Fest, and everyone was like, what is Dynamo Fest? And we didn't know. And it was the first time we were invited to Europe for a festival. And I just remember looking, I think it was 35,000 people, which we never have performed like that. I was only 21 years old. And my God, I was so nervous. I don't even remember the performance. I can't tell you what song we played, how my performance was, because I was so nervous. But looking back at it, that was the beginning of me going, man, now I know what I want to do. I want to perform, whether it's the big festivals or the small clubs.
Yeah.
And I learned over the years, after 30 years of doing this, to really soak it in and really enjoy the situation and the right then and there, really be able to enjoy it as it's happening. And a lot of those years, I was so nervous, I didn't even remember playing.
Wow. That was like you remember that festival, but you don't remember like that. That's a different trip. Because speaking of Dynamo, that was one of my memorable performances. My first European performance with Death Angel, and there's this clip I'm going to show you and show the rest of the world. It's the stage dive that never happened. Like, I mean, literally, like we were performing the song and some dude runs across the stage and wants to jump. But you know how Dynamo festivals are. There's that big gap.
Oh my God.
Yeah. And the dude was about ready to jump and he didn't want to jump. And our guitar tech ran after him. And for some reason, he dragged him across the stage. Hey, I'm going to play you that clip right now, dude.
Do it.
Dude, it's funny. Right here, dude. Can you see my screen? I know you can see it.
Yeah.
All right, dude. Right here. Check it out. Right there. And he falls down. There he goes. And he gets dragged out. Look at that, right here. Oh, dude.
Right on.
Dude, I mean, that's probably one of my memorable performances. But another thing, if you have to catch on that thing, let me play it again, because this is funny. How Mark is so unfazed by the whole thing, because this is what I love about him. He's, he doesn't let anything ruin his day. You know what I mean?
Yeah, man.
He's one of those front men, like, he's not one of those, like, what the fuck's going on? Get him out of here. Look, I mean, I'll play it again, but he's just so in the zone, and I love it. like right here, and he comes around. Yeah. I mean, speaking of frontman, I want to get on that because you know, I love Mark. I think he's a great vocalist, lyricist, and a great frontman. And he has this presence on stage where people like, fuck yeah. And your brother John has a weird, not a weird, but he has his own presence where he doesn't say much, but when he comes on,
Yeah.
people just go, fuck yeah, Obituary. You know what I mean? I think,
Yeah.
you know, having a frontman with presence is important. You know what I mean? Would you
Yeah,
say?
you know, yeah, John's a man of few words for sure, especially in between songs. But that's just the way he's always been. It's kind of the way Obituary's always been. We're that type band where we're one of the tightest bands when it comes to the music live, but the in-between antics that we have in between songs has always been kind of humorous, and we don't mean to. We're just whatever. We're cavemen, you know. We're not the dudes that are gonna make big speeches about the next song and what lyric was this. We let the music do the talking. But my brother is he's that way really in life anyways. He's a man of few words, and when he speaks, you listen because most of the time it makes sense. But it's really just when he opens his mouth when he sings is where, you know, your jaw drops and you're just like, really, that quiet guy that I saw walking around all day, he's doing that now on stage, you know?
Yeah, so, I mean, same thing with Mark. Mark doesn't really, like your brother, doesn't really talk much in the day, kind of saves the voice and energy.
Yep.
But when they open their mouth on stage, they have this presence. And, you know, Mark has that presence in thrash metal, and John has it in death metal, which is really cool. You know, like,
man.
You know, man, a few words, but when he opens his mouth, it's like, holy shit. Fucking, then you have the four of you behind him just, hell yeah, you know, it's cool.
Absolutely.
Now, speaking of your brother, you and him have a project together called the Tardy Brothers.
We do, and it's been a while. We released it about 10 years ago. It's something I've always wanted to do because I'm a guitar player as well. I play drums for a living, but I play guitar because I can't stand the idea of. I love playing guitar. I love writing riffs, and I've always done that. You know, we've been a band for so long that we were just teenagers, and when Trevor would leave the practice room, he would leave his guitar. You know, he's like, my mom called, I got to go eat dinner. And then the minute he would leave, I'd grab his guitar, even at 15, 16 years old. So just over the years, I've just always played guitar, and I've always had that dream of writing songs on guitar. So the Tardy Brothers project, you know, I wrote the songs, my brother sings on it, and I actually performed all the instruments on the album. So that was one of those pat myself on the back. You know, it's not the greatest album. It's just really caveman metal. It's kind of like Metallica meets probably a little bit of Obituary, you know.
Oh, that's cool, man.
Yeah, and then the one thing that I did make sure that I made sure to do is I brought in some friends that put solos down. Ralph Santala, just a few really shredding guitar players put some phenomenal solos on the album, and it's called Tardy Brothers Bloodline. It was out about 10 years ago, and now it's not even released anymore because it was on Candlelight. And we're no longer a part of Candlelight. So people can find it on YouTube if they're interested in it. It's just a project myself and my brother had a blast doing. It was when we first got the studio. You know, we have Redneck Studio. We've done the last 4 Obituary albums there. And that was really what was honing our skills on learning the Pro Tools rig and learning to record. So the Tardy Brothers album was part of just really learning how to record well, and not to mention learning my skills or not skills that I have on guitar. And it really made me want to practice more.
So you kind of pulled the Dave Grohl approach.
Yeah, you know, and it was fun. I have to admit, I was so stoked playing, like even playing bass guitar on the album. I never played a bass guitar for real in my life. And I learned real quick, there's not much down picking with a bass guitar. You got to smooth strum it compared to crunching a guitar, you know? So it was a fun experience, man. Hopefully some Death Angel fans go check out the Tardy Brothers album because it's way more geared towards. It is not death metal like Obituary death metal. It's like I said, it's more me as a teenager and 20-year-old kind of riffs where I was a Hetfield fan. I was a Metallica worshiper as a kid, and so it's a little bit towards that. And of course, my brother's voice is my brother's voice, so it is heavy, you know.
Yeah. Well, I was thinking, man, we're getting some questions in. You want to answer some questions?
Absolutely.
there's one for you, some guy named Ralph Asprick. Donald, who's your influences? I dig your playing. Who's your favorite death metal drummers?
Right on. My influences, because I started at such a young age in the 70s. It was before there was death metal. I started playing drums probably in 1977-ish because I was young and I was really into it. So my influences was Led Zeppelin. You know, John Bonham, he's the king of all kings. And then of course Vinny Appice. When I saw Vinny Appice and heard the Ronnie James Dio stuff that he did, he's the most solid drummer there is in music, you know. And you know, as for death metal drummers, there's so many good metal drummers, you know, there's so many of them out there. The latest, and it's not death metal, but it's extreme metal, is the latest Psychroptic album. If anyone is familiar with Psychroptic, the dudes from Australia, they are maniacs. And that drummer Dave and his brother Joe on guitar, you have to witness it one time. It is the most phenomenal music I've ever heard. A guitar player drummer duo brotherhood. It's incredible. And
wow.
But you know, just whatever drummers, you know, I'm a fan of the old school, you know. I was a Metallica fan. I was a Dave Lombardo fan. Slayer showed me the light, like all of us, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Some of the music that I really, really worshipped as a kid, it wasn't necessarily because of the drumming, because if I say Celtic Frost and Venom, those are not necessarily the world renowned drummers, and we all know that. It's just that those bands were so amazing, and that was a big influence for me. And you know, that's it. You know, when it comes to metal, it's not always death metal for me when it comes to listening to it. I'm a big Corrosion of Conformity fan. COC, Reed Mullen, one of the best drummers in the world. I listen to him pretty much every day of my life, and I still learn every day. I know, actually, I believe Reed actually was a pretty good friend of yours too, Ted.
Yeah. He was. We did some touring with him. Nice guy. I mean, it's unfortunate he's not with us anymore.
Yeah, but he was a sweet soul, man.
Yeah, and he has a unique playing style, you know.
Yeah, and a lot of people don't. Maybe a lot of people don't know, are familiar. You know, Death Angel fans or Obituary fans might not be super familiar with COC, but it is well worth taking the time because they are one of the best bands in the world. It brings that Southern rock meets Southern metal, and that's right up my alley. Because you know, I grew up in Florida, and before I got into really heavy music, I was into Leonard Skinner and Blackfoot and Outlaws and Charlie Daniels. So I was a Southern rock kind of kid, and then when I met the metal of the world, that's what changed my style of playing. But then when I figured out COC, I worship it. I think Reed Mullen is one of the best drummers on the planet.
Well, yeah, he is. Let me do one more question and we'll get down to fun chats and whatnot. Somebody, Thomas, asked, what is your opinion in the future? Can fans expect autographs and meet and greet sessions?
Yeah, you know, we're very easy, accessible band. I think a lot like you guys. Yeah. We're not the dudes to just go hide in the back lounge of a bus until showtime and then run to the backstage and not interact. We're actually the complete opposite. We're usually the last dudes in the bar until the bar owners go, guys, your show's been over for 3 hours. All the fans are gone. What are you still doing here? So yeah, man, we always make it a point to do the meet and greets. And we try to make it cool. We try to do different kind of merchandise for them, something cool that they're gonna make besides just shaking our hands. You know, we take the time to let them answer those questions and ask the questions, and we answer them. And we're people, you know, we're people. We enjoy meeting the fans because you know we're just normal guys, and most people see that when they meet us, they realize those dudes are maniacs on stage. But man, I tell you what, they're pretty normal guys in real life, and we are, you know. So yes, to answer the question, there's no question that we're going to be doing a lot of meet and greets and a lot of chances for the fans to meet us.
Yeah. All right, dude. There's one question I have to bring up, and this is going to be on both of us. What do you prefer, festivals or small clubs?
Yeah. You answer that one first. You go ahead.
Me? Whoa. I like them, dude, different monsters. You know what I mean? The festivals, a lot of people. You know, you see a people, you know, the logistics are killer. You know, you play with a whole bunch of bands. Those are really good. But something about a small club where it's sweaty and right there and it just sounds good. And it's kind of hard to say, but if you had to put a gun to my head, I'd probably pick the small clubs by a hair. You know what I mean? That's just me.
Well, I'm almost going to emulate that same exact answer because you said it perfectly. Everyone thinks you're going to say, of course, man, playing in front of 20,000 people, you can't get any better. But there's a certain point where it's just mentally, you get distant from that. And the crowd, a sea of people, it seems like it would be really amazing for the musicians, but a lot of the times, the festival schedules are usually pretty ridiculous. You know that you're waiting on the side of the stage for the band in front of you to end, and then all of a sudden you got like 10 minutes to do a quick line check to make sure your gear works and that the drum set's set up. And so you're thrown into such a whirlwind of preparing, and then you're not to mention your schedule, your travel schedule. You just came from France, you just flew in, you've only been on the ground 4 hours, and you're supposed to all of a sudden make the performance of your life on a drum set that you just met, maybe an amplifier that you're like, it doesn't quite sound like my amp. So people, I think some people would understand that, so it's a great challenge. And after so many years of doing the festivals, I always took that as a challenge and really pushed myself to make it the best performance I can possibly do. But like you said, just by a hair, I go back to the old school of that sweaty little club, a stage that's not even 3 foot high. So everyone's right there in your face, no barrier, and feet flying and just seeing mayhem in front of you. That's my DNA. That's our bread and butter. I know that I'm speaking for the guys too. That's what Obituary really digs. It's fun playing those big ass festivals, but it's those small clubs where there's 300, 400, 500 people that are packed, and that they are your fans.
Yeah, totally. I mean, they're like I said, different monsters.
They are a totally different monster.
But it's a question that's really hard to answer. It's like, we had that question in the band. Someone asked us, priest or maiden?
God, man.
Right? But there you go.
Come on. Again, put the gun to my head.
Yeah, priest or maiden. That's a hard one.
Because you can't beat Halford. It's the best. But as a drummer, Iron Maiden albums are just epic, massive, some of the best writing ever. And I mean, it's an Iron Maiden album, but I don't know. I'm a Judas Priest fan, maybe a little more than Iron Maiden, just because, again, Rob Halford, I think he's he's got the voice. He's the dream voice for me,
Yeah, he is. But, Dickinson's insane too.
He is.
It's really hard.
It is hard. You almost cause a fight when you get a question asked like that, because there's no right answer.
There's right answer.
You can't go, I like them both the same. No, you can't say that, man. Because, again, if you were going to put on an island by yourself forever, do you want all the Judas Priest albums or all the Iron Maiden albums? And I love Nico McBrain's drumming so much, I would probably have to pick Maiden, believe it or not, even though I think Priest is just more badass,
Yeah. That, and the question too, that, is like, Master of Puppets or Ride the Lightning. It's a hard one,
It is hard. It is hard because Master of Puppets is obviously one of the best albums in the world.
Yeah.
But Ride the Lightning is that's what did it for all of us of our age, of that age when that album came out. I remember, and I just remember thinking, this is changing everything. This just put the bar so high. It's the coolest album I've ever heard in my life.
Yeah. Speaking of Metallica, and I want to touch upon this. They're a band that likes to, they're really in control of what they do. And I notice you guys are kind of self-managed and have a lot of control of what you do. I mean, how's that going for you? How long have you been doing that?
Yeah, well, we've been doing this for quite a while, because any Obituary fan knows that have read the interviews over the last years, and we're not the only band. We signed probably the world's worst record deal back in 1986 or 87 when we got signed. And we really bit the bullet on that one. For 20 something years of our career, we had no say so, didn't make any money on album sales. We just were a pawn on a record label that had so many other bands, and they were doing that to them as well. So the minute we had the opportunity and the chance to step away and take back control, we realized we'll never give that up. And once we realized that, at first you were like, man, how are we going to do this and manage this? And it's all so much in the emails and the business deals and the management and the booking agents and everything. But nobody can manage you as well as you. And that's the way myself, my brother, and Trevor, the three of us, we started the band. and we manage and we do the business for the band. And I'm very proud of the way we do it. We make sure all the emails are answered by the fans. We make sure that all our socials are going well. We keep in constant communication with the record label, with the booking agents. And I can tell you that the booking agents and the label appreciate that as well, because there's probably nothing more annoying than a record label really looking for a quick answer to an important question, and they are going through a manager who's probably way over his head in too many bands that he's managing, that's not getting back the answers in time. And instead, it's one click of a button or one phone call, and they got me on the line immediately. And there's a reply and an email answer within 5 minutes, if not 5 seconds. And I like that. I like that about managing ourselves. And I mean, let's face it, man, the reality of just this technology that we have now, email, internet, chatting, video chat, just the way people are listening to albums nowadays, it's all gearing towards the future anyway. So we want to be able to have a stronghold on Obituary's future. And we don't have any control over what the technology is going to happen, meaning physical CDs another couple of years, who's really going to be buying them? Sad to say that, but everyone's got their smartphones, and at this point, it's kind of a tough one for us band members, because we still rely on physical copies being sold. But hopefully the future looks out for us, and our fans realize that we're still trying to make a living doing this, and it's going to be up to us to come up with some creative stuff other than just putting an album out every 3 years. And that's kind of what I want to do. I want to make it cool for fans. Like back in the day, before there was an internet, there were fan clubs, and you wrote in, and you got stuff sent to you in the mail, and you were so stoked. You got the letter from Kiss, or you got the T-shirt from Iron Maiden or whatever, and you thought it was the coolest thing. So modern day, it's going to be something like that for me anyway. I would love to do almost like a subscription. If a fan's ready to pay $15 for a new album every 3 years, what about something like that? An annual thing where we say, look, every month we're going to throw stuff at you. We're going to do studio live streams. We're going to do live chats. We're going to, every third Thursday, we're going to have a question and answer. We're going to do we're going to perform the new album when it comes out, just for the people that subscribe for it. And we're going to perform it live and allow you guys to hear it before it's released. Just stuff like that. A lot of this I'm thinking out loud and just really making it up, but my brain thinks a lot. And this is the kind of stuff that I think is doable. And it would certainly be way cooler than just waiting for an album every 3 years from a band.
Yeah, I get you. I mean, right now, Death Angel, we're self-managed for about a year. We split the duties amongst us. It's a lot of hard work, but for me, it's pretty rewarding. You kind of feel like you learned something, just for my end. But it is a lot of hard work, man.
It is a lot of hard work,
because you just want to concentrate on the music. But then again, it's a different time now, so there's ways you could. Technology really helps. So
yeah, it does. It does, and it goes back to that. It goes back to that saying I said, is who can manage you better than you?
Yeah,
it's true. It's a lot of work, and sometimes it does get overwhelming, because when it gets tough is when you hit the road, and you're like, how that first show antics is. It's just like, oh my God, first show, sound check, oh my God, showtime. But you got the booking agents and the record label and the fans and everybody emailing you, and trying to keep up with it and staying focused on the important thing, which is the performance. That's when that's when you could use help. And that's why, like you said, when you guys are teaming up and you're doing it together, that's like myself, my brother, and Trevor. Yeah. We really team up and take care of certain aspects. So we know what our role is, and we try to keep up with it. And we do a pretty good job of it. Maybe not perfect, but it is what it is. It's only rock and roll.
It's only rock and roll, yeah. There's another thing I know about you, but I don't know the whole story, where people might know. Like, you rescue cats. Could you talk about that? That's really cool.
Yeah, a lot of people, they might read a little bit, and they're like, so I get a lot of the questions I get. They always say, "Hey, how's the cat sanctuary?" And it's not a cat sanctuary. I live in Tampa, Florida. Tampa, Florida has no winter time. It's warm. It's beautiful weather year round. So there's no hard winter to stop the breeding process of animals. And cats are the overpopulation in Florida. It's pretty intense, and it's pretty serious. So myself, along with an army of people that live in Florida, do what is called trap, neuter, return. Yeah. So it's exactly what it sounds like. I live in Tampa. I live right here. I live right near Morrisound Recording. So just in my community here for the last 15 years, I got tired of seeing homeless animals, homeless cats living behind Taco Bells and behind dumpsters and getting run over by cars. I constantly keep seeing litters of kittens being born, and I just didn't know what to do. So my girlfriend and I, we kind of educated ourselves because I was just tired of seeing like what I thought I can help. And it started with just my backyard, a couple cats that were just kind of going back and forth. And I learned that the Humane Society does a program where they let you borrow a trap and the cat just walks in one front of it. You put a little piece of food in there. He walks in, the door falls behind him. You take him to the Humane Society. They fix him. They get him spay neutered. They do what's called tipped ear program. On the top of his left ear, they tip its ear. And my sprinklers are coming on.
Yeah.
That's all right. I'm gonna move, but we're gonna keep talking about it.
Yeah.
You know, it's just one of those things where I just wanted to help out with the homeless population. And so what I do is trap, neuter, return. And you simply get the cats fixed. You bring them right back where you trapped them, so they still know where they are, and you re-release them there. That way they're fixed, they have their vaccinations, and they get to live their lives. But they can't keep breeding, and they can't keep making more population problem. And then I have a big heart, so the ones that I do that with, cats live in colonies. You know, they don't go roaming around like a dog. If it was outside, it would keep running. It would just kind of keep running around until it either got hit by a car or somebody were to rescue it. Cats live in colonies behind like apartment complexes and stuff. So, you know, my colonies, I take care of them every night before I eat dinner. I go and I take the time to stop the colonies, put down fresh water and some food for them, and allow them to eat. And then I go home and I eat my dinner, and I do that every night. And it's not the cheapest hobby, but it's super rewarding. And I can tell you from experience, I have made a huge difference in my community by just doing what's the right thing to do, which is trap, neuter, return.
Gotcha. And you know, there's a couple of photos, you know, I want to ask you about here.
Cool, man.
Right here, you know, that's one cat.
That's one of my colonies. That's just 3 cats. That was taken actually last week, actually.
Oh, okay. And this one, right, let me see if I could get to the next one. What's going on here?
That again, those are 4 girls. In fact, it's pretty funny because they're all tortoise shells, which a good known fact, all calicos and all tortoise shells are all females, and they're always females. So that's important to get them fixed because, you know, the females are the ones that get pregnant and have the babies. So that was a snapshot I just took just last week. You know, just sometimes I like taking pictures of my kids.
Yeah. You know, there's some cool ones right here. I like this one.
Okay, so that one, this is how it all started. His name's Yimmy, and Yimmy it was my first colony. It was behind a mobile gas station. It was a mom and about 5 kittens, and that's when I learned what trap, neuter, return was. And so I started doing that, and if you notice, Yimmy only has one eye. So after taking care of them for a year or so, I showed up to put the food and water down, and he came walking from underneath the fence, and his eyeball was hanging out, and I'm like, oh man. So I snatched him up and I brought him to the emergency room, and sure enough, he was shot with a BB gun, and so they had to go in for the operation. And when they did an x-ray on his body, and it turned out that he had 11 BBs in him. So somebody sat there and just multiple pop shot him and his sister. I mean, what kind of human does that? In fact, in his eye socket, I don't mean to get graphic, but in his eye socket, when my vet did the eye surgery, she pulled out 2 BBs in one eye socket. So the person was literally loading 2 BBs at a time. And how unlucky Yimmy was, he got caught with 2 BBs in one eyeball. And so you know, someone like that, I wasn't going to put him back there. I tried to find homes for the friendly ones. You know, the ones that are feral that aren't friendly, you can't find them homes. They just have to do with it. But he was a sweet boy, and I brought him home, and I promised him that he would never have to deal with that again. And I've had him for 14 years. He still lives with me. He's my boy.
Right on.
in my back room. You know, my house, as you can imagine, after 14, 15 years of rescue, has become quite the zoo. And
Awesome.
yeah, so you know, it's just I'm an animal lover, and all the ones that we own now, it's you know, they're all rescues. They're all the special need ones, the ones three-legged one eye one, you know, the ones that really needed the help. And so that's what I do when I'm home and Obituary is not torn. I do.
Yeah, I mean, you love cats. I love dogs. I got my dog kicking it right here, Espen, as you can see, just hanging out
Yeah, right on.
during the live chat.
Oh,
You know what I mean? But
he's being a good dog and not barking over the top of you.
nah, dude. I'm gonna go back to a question or so.
Okay.
There's this guy named Walteri. Dolphins or Buccaneers?
I was born in North Miami Beach. It's in my blood. Go Fins. You know,
Go
it's
Fins,
funny.
huh?
It's funny because everyone knows Obituary's from Tampa. We've been here for 30 years, and everyone knows it's Tampa, Florida. Trevor and Terry are humongous Bucks fans. Myself and my brother, you know, it's in our blood, man. I've been a Dolphins fan since I was a child. My dad, his brothers, all my uncles, they were Dolphins fans. So John and I are Dolphins fans. Trevor and Terry are true Buck fans.
Yeah, man, that's awesome. Yeah, I mean, over here is the Niners. You know, Will's a big Niner fan. You know, huge, and we, you know, I don't follow sports, but it's exciting when when we're on tour and it's sports season, and Will's really like, I'm gonna watch the Niners. So I enjoy it. You know what I mean?
Yeah,
I enjoy it. It's pretty cool.
Yeah.
Let me see what kind of questions. Oh, Donald. This is from Tyson Kale Boyd. How was the experience of driving as far north as Grande Prairie on the CDN dates? And how was the show?
Man, let me tell you what.
Do you remember that?
Man, let me tell you what. It was so ridiculous. Yes, Grand Prairie, and this is not. I'm not even trying to be funny. It was a blizzard. It was ridiculous. It was supposed to be like a 6-hour bus drive. It was just supposed to be about 6-hour ride, typical, right? Well, first of all, it was a two-lane road, which was so ridiculous. The bus was going 20 miles an hour because it was on a road. I'm getting my sprinklers took over. So yes, it ended up taking like 16 hours. It was so ridiculous. And I've never been so scared. The band has never been so scared, nor has the bus driver been so scared driving on this 2-lane road. You couldn't even see in front of you. We had no choice but to keep going after so many hours because you're not turning around on that road. Yeah. And by the time we got there, man, my bus driver was so spent. It was unbelievable. And not to mention, though, the show was amazing. The fans came out and we took out our aggressions from that snow. On the performance, and it was awesome. And I'm so glad we made it because that's some really cool people up in Grand Prairie for sure. Really, really cool town, killer club, and it was awesome.
I mean, yeah, we've had one of those where we've had trouble, just crazy storms and whatnot, whatever. But when you get to the show, it's amazing. You know, I mean, that crazy trip was all worth it. It's awesome. It sucks to go through it,
man.
But when you get to the show and it's packed and people are waiting, you just forget all about it, and you just channel that energy and whatnot.
Absolutely, yeah.
Hey, I'm gonna hit one question. I'm gonna hit one question, and this question is actually for both of us. What song do you enjoy?
Okay.
What song do you enjoy most playing at a show? And this comes from Juan Jose Salinas.
Man, everybody wants us to say, the title track off the first album or whatever, but
yeah,
honestly, man, for me, it's always about the new album. It's always about the new release. And the new album I'm super proud of, the self-titled album that just came out a couple of years back. So to perform those songs, I love it. I love playing the song Straight to Hell. It's just a solid song. And I knew it when we wrote it. I knew immediately. I'm like, man, this song's going to be so killer live. And sure enough, like when we got on the Slayer tour, I remember thinking this song's gonna be so sick in front of this many people that this is gonna be amazing. And sure enough, man. So to answer the question, I always like the challenge of the new songs. I always like playing some of the new stuff. How about you, Ted?
I love playing, The Moth from the Evil Divide record is my favorite song to play. And I do get you about the old stuff. The old songs, hush, young man, I'm talking to my buddy here. I do love playing the old songs for nostalgia feeling because it brings you back to that time. But the new stuff, like The Moth is probably my favorite to play live. So, but out of the old songs, I like playing something from the first album, like something like Voracious Souls is really fun. And I'm sure you get a nostalgia kick of playing like, Dying or Chopped in Half or whatnot.
Yeah, there's no question. You know when you play Chopped in Half, Obituary fans are going to shit themselves. So it's just one of those things. That's what happens. So that's good to know. And on that note, you and I and Death Angel and Obituary have yet to tour. I say yet.
Dude, that's never gonna happen, bro. Never gonna happen, dude. Come on, bro.
I tell you though, the times that we have been together where I was able to be at a festival and witness you guys live, you guys are one of my favorite thrash metal bands live. There's not many bands touch Death Angel live, and I can say that not trying to brown nose, but just as a true Death Angel fan, you guys are incredible live. It's really awesome to watch.
Thanks. I mean, the last time we saw you was me, Will, and Mark at the Fillmore in San Francisco. I think it was with Cannibal Corpse, or I think it was Cannibal Corpse. I remember Mark coming up to me right after the show and goes, "Jesus Christ, these guys are fucking heavy." Like, yeah, dude, they're like insane. And from there on, we always talked about we got to get a tour with them. But hopefully our schedules will cross, and hopefully when this whole thing is over, it'll happen.
It's gonna happen. I will kidnap you guys and we have to make it happen. And of course, you and I have been friends for over 25 years. We've always had that idea that once you got in Death Angel, we were like, dude, we gotta tour, man. We gotta do this. We gotta do this. Yeah. We're gonna make it happen. We're gonna definitely it's gonna happen. Life is too short, especially now when we see what happens, how fragile life really is on this planet. Yeah. We gotta make it happen,
I think it will happen. So I'm gonna wrap this up. Donald, I have a question. One question. I was thinking about this. 30 plus years in the industry, ups and downs, success and failures, lineup changes and all that. One word to describe it.
Fantastic.
Yes. Yeah.
It's hard to say one word, but I'll just end it with coolest job in the world. I get to play drums in front of people that want to hear my music. God bless.
Right on, man. Yeah, I feel the same exact way. Donald, thanks for joining me on the chat. It's good to see you, actually, instead of texting really good and calling.
Absolutely good seeing you, Ted.
Yeah, and let's touch base during this whole thing, and hopefully we can get a tour going together before this whole thing is over.
Yeah, we will. We're going to do Battle of the Bay too, for sure.
Yeah, this time we'll hit the Bay Area because your last one didn't hit any Bay Area.
I know. Yeah. So this time we're going to make it right. We're going to let the fans pick the songs too. How about that? Something like that.
Well, that's a good one. You know what I mean? Well, how about co-headlining? You guys close. There you go.
Absolutely. On, hey, all right. Thanks for letting me be a part of this, and I hope Death Angel fans got a little bit of insight. If they're not Obituary fans, go check it out. We're doing what we do. You guys are doing what you do, and this is all a big metal family. And hopefully we gain a few fans, Death Angel fans, because not all death metal's bad shit.
Yeah, not all thrash metal is bad shit. But for all our viewers out there, if you guys want to know all about Obituary, go to their website, obituary.cc. They have everything you need to know about them and stuff. And Donald, how about your cat sanctuary? You have a website for that?
It's funny you said that. I will keep it short. We do have. It's called, just like the Metal Militia. We call it the Metal Meowilitia.
Metal Meowilitia.
Yeah. So there is a Facebook page, but I'll be honest, I haven't I haven't used it in many years because even though I got a lot of good out of it and educated a lot of people, it's just some of those rotten apples that were threatening some of my colonies and doing bad things like they did to Yimmy with the getting shot.
Yeah.
So I kind of keep it on the lowdown. On with that said, though, on the Obituary website, if anybody wanted to contribute, I spend about $60 a day on just the food to feed. There's about 80 cats on about 30 different colonies. So anybody wants to contribute and help me pay for feeding one of my colonies, our PayPal is called helpcats@obituary.cc. So
Oh, cool,
anybody want to throw $1 towards Help Cats, that'd be great. And it goes straight to feeding them and doing the spay neuter. That's really important, that I believe in. So
yeah, well, there's a lot of metal fans who are cat lovers, dog lovers, and I just hope they'll contribute.
Yeah, man. Yep.
All right, Donald,
Right
enjoy your Saturday in Tampa.
Right on,
All
Ted.
right, man.
Thank you, everybody.
Right on.
Yep. Take it easy.